Welcome back to the Kudlow Report, everyone. I'm Larry Kudlow. At the top of this half hour, with just a little over 4 hours and counting before the federal government will be forced to shut down, the GOP could easily declare victory and accept a $35 to $40 billion spending cut. So what's the holdup? Here now is Louisiana Democratic Congressman Cedric Richmond, the Vice Chair of the House Republican Conference, Cathy McMorris Rodgers, and former House Majority Leader Dick Armey. He's the chairman of Freedom Works, and he was around for the last shutdown back in 1995. Let me go to Mr. Cedric Richmond. You know, sir, first of all, welcome to the show. We very much appreciate your coming on. And I just want to ask you, 35 to 40 billion, which is the numbers I see, is a big number for spending cuts. Why wouldn't you all just want to get this done in the name of fiscal sobriety?
Well, some people call it fiscal sobriety. Some people call it fiscal irresponsibility. And I think what we have to do is make sure that we're very smart about the spending cuts that we have. I think everybody agrees that we have to cut, and we have to make serious cuts. However, we cannot, in good conscience, be irresponsible about the cuts, especially when, in December, we went in the opposite route to give tax cuts to the richest 2%. So I think it's a fair balance that we're trying to craft here, and I think that when you're doing that, there has to be some give and take on both sides, and you also have the complication of the policy riders smack dab in the middle of it.
Cathy McMorris Rodgers, welcome back to the show, Congresswoman. Let me just ask you, what is the state of play? What is the state of play? Is there a red-hot deal pending?
The negotiations continue. I understand that we are very close. We are still working final agreements on the policy riders, but it really comes down to how much we're going to cut. And Speaker Boehner says that there is not an agreement yet on that number, and we are committed to getting as high a number as possible. And I think it's important to remember that we're talking maybe 2% of the entire federal budget. But the Republicans feel like we are here on behalf of the American people, demanding that we reduce the size and scope of the federal government.
What about this number $39 billion that I read in the papers and on the blog site? That's a fairly big number. That would roll you back to the 2008 baseline. That would save you probably $500 billion over the next 10 years. That sounds like a great number. Why don't you take it?
This afternoon, Speaker Boehner brought the Republicans together to give us the update on where we were, and what he told us was that we don't yet have an agreement on a number, that they're getting close, but they are still working through those final negotiations. And I am hopeful that we will get there. I think that the American people expect us to. They expect us to, as elected leaders, to come here, give it our best, but ultimately we need to govern, and we need to do get America on track and start taking those responsible steps to get our fiscal house in order. And the debate has changed. The reason we find ourselves in this situation is because the Democrats last fall didn't pass a budget, and at least we are moving forward now and in starting those budget negotiations.
Dick Armey, welcome back to the show, old friend. You were the majority leader when we had the